Captain Zixval's sensory appendages twitched nervously as she studied the holographic display of the unremarkable yellow star and its third planet. After 15 cycles of deep space survey work, she had developed an instinct for trouble. Something about this system felt wrong. "Preliminary scans complete, Captain," announced her science officer, Kit Wren, mandibles clicking in confusion. "The orbital debris field is unusual. I'm detecting approximately 100,000 artificial satellites, but only 2% show active power signatures." Zixval's crystalline eyes narrowed. "Natural decay pattern." "Negative." Kit Wren's appendages danced across the control surface. The inactive satellites appeared deliberately powered down. Many contain advanced technology we can't fully analyze. The arrangement. He paused, bringing up a three-dimensional model. It's structured, like a web. The bridge fell silent as the crew studied the intricate layers of satellites encasing the blue-green world. Their ship, the Hegemony Survey vessel Truthseeker, hung at the edge of the system, protocols demanding caution when approaching potentially inhabited worlds. "Life signs?" Zixval asked, though she already suspected the answer. "Abundant plant and animal life." But Kit Wren's voice wavered. "No technological signatures consistent with an active civilization. Yet I'm detecting extensive infrastructure, cities, transportation networks, power grids, all apparently intact but dormant." Zixval felt her crew's unease. Survey work usually meant documenting primitive species or establishing contact with emerging civilizations. This was different. This was a mystery. "Bring us closer," she ordered. "Full defensive screens." The Truthseeker glided forward, its advanced sensors probing the satellite web. As they approached, more details emerged. The satellites weren't just powered down. They were carefully preserved, as if meant to last centuries. "Captain." Kit Wren's usual scientific detachment cracked. "I'm detecting quantum entanglement signatures throughout the debris field. These satellites are linked somehow, but the technology, it's beyond anything in our database." Zixval fought her rising anxiety. The Galactic Hegemony prided itself on being the most advanced civilization in known space. Finding technology they couldn't understand was more than unusual. It was impossible. "Launch a probe," she commanded. Standard first contact protocol. The probe accelerated toward the nearest satellite cluster. As it approached, Zixval noticed something odd about the debris patterns. They weren't random or even purely functional. They formed concentric layers, each protecting the planet beneath like the shells of a rare Centaurian defense fruit. "Probe approaching first debris layer," reported the navigation officer. The entire bridge crew watched as the probe transmitted its findings. The satellite it approached was massive, clearly built for long-term operation. Its surface bore markings in multiple languages, none matching known galactic standards. "Wait," Kit Wren called out. Energy spike. The dormant satellite suddenly hummed to life. A soft blue glow emanated from its core, spreading through the quantum-linked network like ripples in a pond. Within seconds, thousands of satellites began activating, their combined energy readings overwhelming the Truthseeker's sensors. "Defensive positions," Zixval ordered, but no attack came. Instead, the satellites began broadcasting. Not the standard greeting protocols used by civilized worlds, but something else, a message repeating in thousands of languages, each version perfectly preserved despite centuries of silence. "Translation matrix processing," Kit Wren announced, his voice barely a whisper. The words appeared on their main display, simple yet terrifying in their implications. "Leave. They are coming. Do not atmptcont. Escape while you can." Zixval stared at the message, her mind racing. In 15 cycles of survey work, she had never encountered anything like this. A civilization advanced enough to surpass hegemony technology, yet choosing to abandon their world. And what were they running from? She had a feeling She was about to break a lot of first contact protocols, finding out Junior Officer Katie Williams wasn't supposed to be on the bridge of the Truth Seeker when everything changed. As a xenorchaeologist, her place was in the research labs, analyzing artifacts from long-dead civilizations, but something about the mysterious warning had compelled her to break protocol. Captain Zixpal. Katie spoke up, her voice cutting through the tense silence. That beacon design. I've seen it before. The captain's crystalline eyes swiveled toward her. Explain, Officer Williams. Katie pulled up her personal database, hands trembling slightly. 2 years ago, I was part of a classified research team studying prototype quantum communication devices. The hegemony abandoned the project because the power requirements were impossible. She projected a hologram. This is our prototype, and that, she pointed to the active beacon, is an advanced version of the same technology. Kit Wren's mandibles clicked rapidly. Impossible. These beacons are at least 2 centuries old. Exactly. Katie highlighted specific components. Someone on this planet solved the power problem long before we even conceived of the technology. They didn't just match our most advanced research. They surpassed it generations ago. The bridge erupted in murmurs. The hegemony's technological superiority was a cornerstone of their civilization. The idea that an unknown species had secretly exceeded them was more than shocking. It was paradigm-shifting. Captain. The sensor officer interrupted. The beacon network is changing. They watched as the satellite web shifted, creating a clear corridor toward Earth's surface. More messages began broadcasting, these in a different tone. Navigation coordinates, atmospheric entry paths, emergency protocols. They're giving us instructions, Katie realized. The warning wasn't just meant to frighten us away. It's part of a larger message. Captain Zixpal's appendages twitched in thought. Can you decode more of it? Katie immersed herself in the data stream. The messages were complex, layered with meaning. It's not just coordinates. There are data packets embedded in the transmission, scientific formulas, historical records, fragments of something bigger. As she worked, a familiar sequence caught her eye. Wait, this is impossible. She isolated a string of code. This section matches classified hegemony encryption. Not just similar, identical. Protocols that weren't developed until 30 years ago. Are you suggesting this species could predict our future technological development? Kit Wren asked incredulously. Or, Katie's mind raced. They knew we would find them. They've been watching us, studying us, preparing this message specifically for the moment we arrived. The implications sent a chill through the bridge. Who were these people? How long had they known about the hegemony? And what threat could be so terrible that it would drive such an advanced civilization to abandon their homeworld? A new message flickered across their screens. Time is short. Follow the HFY. Truth lies below. Captain, Katie said, studying the entry corridor's specification. They're not just inviting us down. These instructions, they're designed to help us evade something. The approach vector, the energy signatures they want us to maintain. It's all meant to minimize our visibility from deep space. Zixpal's crystalline eyes pulsed with decision. Officer Williams, you're now lead scientist on this mission. Kit Wren, prepare a ground team. Whatever drove these people to such extremes, they clearly wanted their discovery to mean something. Let's find out what. As the crew rushed to prepare for planetfall, Katie found herself drawn to the endless stream of data still pouring from the beacons. In between the technical specifications and warnings, fragments of more personal messages flickered past. Brief glimpses into the minds of those who had prepared this elaborate welcome. To those who find our world, we offer both warning and hope. The darkness between stars is not empty. They are watching, always watching. We chose to disappear so others might survive. Follow our path. Learn our truth. Time grows short. They are coming. Katie shivered. Whatever humanity had discovered out there in the dark, They had spent their final days on Earth preparing not just a warning, but a gift. A chance for other species to escape what they had seen coming. Now it was up to her to figure out what that gift really meant. The ruins of Kansas City spread before them like a perfectly preserved museum. Katie Williams led her small team through empty streets, their environmental suits humming softly in the autumn air. Dead leaves skittered across pristine pavement, dancing between abandoned vehicles that showed no signs of rust or decay. "This doesn't make sense," muttered Dr. James Cooper, their team's anthropologist. "These buildings, these cars, they should be deteriorating. It's been 200 years. Katie ran her scanner over a nearby sedan. Some kind of stasis field, maybe. The energy readings are subtle, but they're everywhere, like a preservation grid covering the entire city. Their fourth team member, Security Officer Maya Rodriguez, kept her weapon ready as they approached a suburban home. Why preserve everything? If they were running from something, why waste the energy? "Maybe they wanted us to see how they lived," Katie suggested, climbing the steps to the front door. It opened at her touch, the security systems recognizing their presence just as the orbital beacons had. Inside, time stood frozen. The dining room table was set for 4, plates filled with food that looked fresh enough to eat. Family photos lined the walls, smiling humans caught in moments of joy. A tablet sat on the coffee table, its screen still glowing faintly. "Over here," Cooper called from the kitchen. He held up a paper calendar. "Last marked date is October 15th, 2218. They knew exactly when they were leaving. Katie climbed the stairs, drawn by some instinct she couldn't explain. The master bedroom was empty, but the child's room next door made her pause. Spacecraft models hung from the ceiling, and the walls were covered with star charts and complex mathematical equations that shouldn't have been comprehensible to someone so young. On the desk sat a leather-bound diary, open to its final entry. Katie's hands trembled as she read. "Dad says the dark ships are coming, but he promised we have a plan. He says humans are smarter than they think we are. Tomorrow we disappear. Dad says we're not running away. We're running ahead, setting things up for the others who'll need help later. I'm scared, but also excited. We've been practicing the phase shift for months now. Tommy next door says it's like becoming a ghost, but with science. I hope he's right. P.S. If you're reading this and you're not human, check the basement. Dad says that's where the real answers are. Just hurry. They don't stay in one place for long." "Rodriguez Cooper," Katie called over the comm. "I need you in the basement. Now." The house's lower level looked ordinary at first. Storage boxes, old furniture, a washer and dryer. But Katie's scanner picked up something else. "There's a quantum signature behind this wall, similar to the beacons, but stronger." Rodriguez stepped forward with a portable phase scanner, standard equipment for detecting hidden rooms. The device sparked and went dead. "What the hell?" They didn't want us finding this with standard tools, Katie realized. She pulled out the tablet they'd found upstairs, its screen now showing a complex equation. They wanted us to think like them. She studied the mathematical sequence scrawled on the child's wall, then the tablet. "It's not just an equation, it's instructions. Cooper, help me solve this." For 20 minutes they worked, translating the child's seemingly random calculations. When Katie input the final sequence into the tablet, the basement wall shifted, not opening or sliding away, but somehow becoming less real. "My God," Cooper whispered. "Quantum phasing. They found a way to exist between normal space-time states." Beyond the wall lay a laboratory that put their most advanced research facilities to shame. Holographic displays flickered to life as they entered, showing star maps with thousands of red markers spreading across the galaxy. And at the center, a message. "Welcome, friends. If you're seeing this, the dark ships are already approaching your worlds. Don't worry. We've been preparing for your arrival for a very long time. What you're about to learn will change everything you think you know about the universe. But first, You need to understand why we left. Terminal 1 is ready for your questions. And please, hurry. They're getting faster at finding survivors." The holographic displays pulsed expectantly, waiting for their first query about humanity's greatest discovery and their greatest fear. Terminal 1 hummed to life as Katie approached, its holographic interface expanding to fill the basement laboratory. Behind her, Cooper and Rodriguez watched in stunned silence as a figure materialized, a middle-aged man wearing what appeared to be a military uniform from humanity's final days. "I am an AI construct based on Dr. Jack Morrison, former Director of Special Projects, United States Department of Defense," the hologram announced. Date of final recording: October 15th, 2218. "What would you like to know?" Katie's throat felt dry. "Tell us about the dark ships." Morrison's hologram nodded grimly. "We'd first detected them in 2196 using quantum telescopes designed to observe parallel dimensions. They moved between the stars like oil through water, massive vessels that seemed to consume light itself. At first, we thought they were a natural phenomenon." The hologram waved, and the lab filled with images of the ships, geometric shapes that hurt the eyes to look at, their surfaces seeming to exist in multiple dimensions at once. Then we noticed the pattern. Every civilization that reached a certain level of technological advancement, specifically the ability to detect quantum-level communications, went silent, not through war or natural disaster. They simply vanished. Dozens of species, gone without a trace. "How did you track them?" Cooper asked. "If they were operating in other dimensions." "Because we'd already developed the technology to do so." Morrison's image smiled sadly. "Project Looking Glass. We'd been experimenting with quantum phase shifting since 2180, trying to develop undetectable communications. Instead, we created something far more significant, a way to observe multiple dimensional states simultaneously." The hologram changed, showing a vast underground facility. "We built quantum observatories beneath every major city. That's how we saw them approaching other worlds. That's how we knew we were next." Katie's mind raced. The preservation field around the cities, the quantum phasing technology. You weren't just running away. You were documenting everything, preserving it for whoever found Earth. "Precisely." Morrison's image walked through the lab, pointing to various devices. "We had 20 years to prepare. While most of humanity focused on developing phase shift technology for our exodus, some of us had a different mission. We turned Earth into a library, a warning system, and a gift. Everything a species would need to survive the dark ships." Rodriguez stepped forward. "But why not fight? With this level of technology." "We tried." Morrison's face darkened. "We sent phase-shifted probes to observe worlds they'd already taken. What we saw..." He paused, his holographic form flickering with programmed emotion. "They don't just destroy civilizations. They harvest them. Every person, every piece of technology, every scrap of knowledge. Taken to some unknown destination. Those who resist suffer far worse fates." The lab's displays filled with data, scientific formulas, tactical analyses, dimensional coordinates. We realized something crucial. They can detect any civilization that reaches quantum awareness. It's like a beacon to them. But if a species can phase shift their entire civilization slightly out of normal spacetime before being detected, they become invisible, Katie whispered. "You didn't just hide yourselves. You created a way for other species to hide too." Morrison nodded. "Earth is a turning point, the last place they'd expect to find the means of salvation. A seemingly abandoned world that's actually a guidebook for survival. But there's more." His expression grew urgent. "The quantum observatories are still active. They're approaching your worlds now. That's why the warning system activated." "How long do we have?" Cooper asked. "Based on their usual pattern, less than 6 months, but you don't have to face them. We've created a network, paths between the dimensions where we now exist. Sanctuary worlds, hidden colonies, Everything you need to save your people. All the tools are here in this lab. The hologram's eyes met Katie's. The question is, are you ready to disappear? Because once you start down this path, there's no going back. Your civilization will have to sacrifice everything it is to become something new, just like we did. Katie looked at her teammates, seeing her own mix of fear and determination reflected in their faces. Whatever humanity had become, whatever they had discovered out there in the dark spaces between dimensions, they had left behind the keys to salvation. Now they just had to figure out how to use them before it was too late. Captain Zixval's voice crackled through Katie's comm unit, shattering the tense atmosphere in Morrison's lab. Officer Williams returned to the Truth Seeker immediately. Our deep space arrays have detected something troubling. The urgency in her captain's typically controlled tone made Katie's blood run cold. What kind of something, Captain? The kind that swallows light. Katie exchanged glances with her team. We're on our way. And Captain, we found something you need to see. The emergency shuttle ride back to the Truth Seeker was silent, each person lost in their own thoughts. Katie clutched a quantum data core from Morrison's lab, her knuckles white. Inside was humanity's complete blueprint for survival. When they reached the bridge, the holographic display told the story. Massive objects, exactly matching Morrison's dark ship descriptions, were moving through the outer reaches of hegemony space. Their very presence seemed to distort the fabric of reality around them. Initial analysis suggests they'll reach our core worlds in approximately 5 months, Kit Wren reported, his usual scientific detachment cracking. We've already lost contact with 3 deep space monitoring stations. Katie stepped forward. Captain, permission to access the main display. Zixval nodded, her crystalline eyes pulsing with barely contained anxiety. Katie inserted the quantum core, and Morrison's hologram materialized on the bridge. Several crew members flinched at the sudden appearance of a human figure. Your orbital defense grid just detected them, didn't it? Morrison's AI asked without preamble. That's what the warning system was designed for. Earth's satellite network isn't dead. It's part of a quantum entanglement early warning system spanning thousands of light years. Impossible, Kit Wren chittered. The power requirements alone were solved by phase-shifting portions of the satellites into parallel dimensions. Katie interrupted, understanding flooding her. They're drawing power from multiple realities simultaneously. Morrison nodded. The entire network was calibrated to activate the moment the dark ships entered detection range of any civilized world. Earth isn't just preserved, it's a trap. A honeypot designed to attract their attention while warning others. Zixval's appendages twitched. You sacrificed your homeworld to save others. We sacrificed our visibility, Morrison corrected. What you see of Earth is just a shell, a carefully maintained facade. The real Earth, along with humanity, exists slightly out of phase with normal space-time. We've been here the whole time, watching, waiting to help others escape. The bridge erupted in shocked murmurs. Katie pulled up the data from Morrison's lab, showing the network of quantum passages humanity had constructed, invisible highways between dimensions. The hegemony can survive, she said firmly. But we have to start now. The phase shift technology requires months of preparation, and we'll need to coordinate across thousands of worlds. And if we refuse? Zixval asked, though Katie suspected she already knew the answer. Morrison's hologram waved, and new images filled the display, records of civilizations that had tried to fight the dark ships. The footage was brief but devastating. Entire planets stripped of life in moments, their inhabitants taken for purposes unknown. We spent years studying them, Morrison said quietly. They're not invaders or conquerors. They're collectors, archivists of a sort, preserving species at their technological peak. Those who cooperate are taken. Those who resist are processed differently. But why? Kit Wren demanded. What purpose called? A new alarm cut through the bridge. 3 more monitoring stations had gone dark. We don't have time for why, Katie interrupted. Captain, The quantum core contains everything we need. Technical specifications, coordination protocols, even psychological preparation guidelines for large-scale evacuation. Humanity spent decades perfecting this escape route. We just have to decide if we're going to take it. Zixval stood silent for a long moment, her crystalline eyes reflecting the images of approaching dark ships. When she spoke, her voice was firm. "Officer Williams, you're now head of Project Exodus. Take whatever resources you need. Kit Wren, begin distributing the technical specifications to all hegemony worlds." She turned to face her crew. "We're about to make our civilization disappear. Let's make it count." As the bridge burst into activity, Katie wondered if this was how humanity's leaders had felt 2 centuries ago, racing against time, preparing to lead their entire species into a new way of existing. She hoped they were ready. "The basic principle is elegant in its simplicity," Katie explained to the assembled hegemony leadership, their holographic forms filling the Truth Seekers conference room. "We're not trying to hide from the dark ships. We're shifting our existence into the spaces between their observations." She manipulated the quantum display, showing the intricate mathematical models from Morrison's database. "Think of reality like a book. We currently exist on one page. The dark ships read every page looking for life, but humanity found the spaces between pages, the margins where nothing should exist. That's where we'll go." Admiral Ixren, the hegemony's military commander, leaned forward. "And this phase shift technology, you're certain it works on a planetary scale?" In answer, Katie activated a special sensor array they'd constructed according to Morrison's specifications. The view of Earth changed dramatically. Overlaid on the seemingly abandoned planet, they could now see ghostly images of massive cities, orbital platforms, and ships moving in and out of quantum corridors. "By the void," someone whispered. "They never left." "Not exactly," Katie corrected. "They exist approximately 3 microseconds out of phase with our time stream. To the dark ships, Earth appears dead. To us, with the right sensors, we can see the truth." The Morrison hologram materialized beside her. "The process requires 3 stages. First, quantum resonance generators must be installed at strategic points across your worlds. These create the phase shift field. Second, all technology must be modified to function in the shifted state. Finally, the population must be trained for transition." Trained. Admiral Ixren's appendages twitched skeptically. "The human mind wasn't designed to exist between moments," Katie explained. "The first attempts at phase shifting drove people mad. Dr. Morrison's team developed mental techniques to help consciousness adapt. Without proper preparation, we risk losing millions to temporal psychosis." The conference room filled with concerned murmurs. Captain Zixval raised her primary appendage for silence. "How long?" she asked simply. Morrison's hologram consulted its data. "Based on your population distribution and technological level, 4 months to prepare your core worlds. The outer colonies will take longer. The dark ships will reach us in 5 months, Kit Wren reminded them. "Then we work faster," Katie insisted. "Look at what humanity accomplished. They prepared their entire civilization for transition, while building this network of safe havens, all in absolute secrecy. We have their blueprints, their experience, their mistakes to learn from. We can do this." Admiral Ixren's crystalline eyes pulsed with decision. "Distribute the preparation protocols to all worlds. Every shipyard, every factory, every research facility now has one purpose: implementing the Morrison Protocol." As the meeting ended and the holograms winked out, Katie found herself alone with Captain Zixval and the Morrison Eye. "There's something we haven't discussed," Zixval said quietly. "The quantum sensors show human civilization thriving in phase space. Why haven't they contacted us directly?" Morrison's hologram smiled sadly. "Who says they haven't?" "Katie, show her the diary again." Katie pulled up the child's diary they'd found in Kansas City. The captain read it carefully. "Dad says we're not running away. We're running ahead," Zixval quoted. The preservation of Earth. The warning system. They're not just leaving breadcrumbs. They're teaching, Katie finished. Testing. They needed to know any species that found Earth could handle the responsibility of the knowledge. If we'd reacted with fear or aggression, you would have found nothing but an abandoned world, Morrison confirmed. Instead, you showed curiosity, compassion, and wisdom. You proved yourselves worthy of saving. A new alarm sounded. 2 more monitoring stations had gone dark. We should begin immediately, Zixval decided. Katie, coordinate with Kit Wren on the resonance generator installations. I want phase shift testing to begin within 48 hours. As Katie hurried from the conference room, she caught a glimpse of Earth through the viewport. For a moment, she thought she saw a shimmer in the air around the planet, like reality itself was rippling. She wondered if, just maybe, humanity was watching their progress, waiting for the right moment to welcome them into their hidden world between moments. First, though, they had a civilization to save. 3 months into the Morrison Protocol, Katie stood in the Truth Seeker's observation deck, watching the first full-scale phase shift test. Below, the hegemony capital world of Sin Prime shimmered like a mirage in desert heat. Resonance generators at 90%, Kit Wren reported through the comm. Quantum field stabilizing. Time variance, holding at 2 microseconds. Katie checked the modified sensors. The equations were perfect. Humanity's gift of mathematics that bent reality itself. Across the planet's surface, billions of citizens waited in specially shielded chambers, their minds prepared through weeks of intensive training. Begin final sequence, Captain Zixval ordered from the bridge. The shimmer intensified. For a heart-stopping moment, Shin Prime seemed to exist in multiple states at once. There and not there, past and present overlapping. Then, like a bubble sliding between water drops, the entire planet slipped sideways into phase space. Transition complete, Kit Wren announced, his voice tight with emotion. Reading normal life signs across all sectors. We did it. Katie allowed herself a brief smile before returning to business. Begin scanning for quantum corridors. If Morrison's data is correct, we should. Contact. The sensor officer's cry cut through the comm. Multiple signatures appearing in phase space. They're ships. Hundreds of them. Katie rushed to the bridge, arriving just as the phase space sensors revealed the truth. The apparently empty space around Sin Prime was actually a bustling transit hub. Ships of unknown design moved through invisible lanes of traffic, their hulls bearing markings from dozens of civilizations, some recognized from Morrison's historical records, others completely alien. And they were hailing. "This is Transit Control Hub Alpha 7, a distinctly human voice announced. "Welcome to the network, hegemony citizens. We've been expecting you." Captain Zixval's appendages trembled slightly as she responded. "This is Captain Zixval of the Truth Seeker. We have so many questions." A laugh came through the comm. "I bet you do. Permission granted to dock at Hub Station 1. Your guide is waiting." The Truth Seeker followed the transmitted coordinates, approaching what appeared to be a massive space station existing entirely in phase space. As they drew closer, Katie's breath caught. The station's design incorporated architectural elements from at least a dozen species, a physical representation of cooperation between civilizations that had chosen to disappear. In the docking bay, a human woman waited. She wore a simple uniform bearing patches Katie didn't recognize, but her smile was warm. "Lieutenant Sarah Chin," she introduced herself. "First Contact Division. Sorry we couldn't reveal ourselves sooner, but the testing protocols are important. Not every species that finds Earth is ready for this level of cooperation." "How many?" Katie asked, looking around at the diverse beings moving through the station. "How many civilizations have you saved?" 47 so far, Sarah replied, each bringing their own knowledge, technology, and perspective to our hidden network. The hegemony will make 48, and based on your phase shift implementation speed, You'll be a valuable addition." "The dark ships," Captain Zixval interjected. "What are they? Where do they come from?" Sarah's expression grew serious. "Follow me. There's something you need to see." She led them to a vast observation room. One wall displayed a real-time map of the galaxy, showing both normal space and the phase-shifted realm they now inhabited. Red dots marked the dark ship's positions, spreading like a viral infection across the stars. "We don't know their origin," Sarah admitted, "but we've learned their purpose. They're archivists of a sort, preserving what they consider worthy civilizations at their technological peak. Those who resist are processed differently." "But why?" Katie asked. "Because something is coming," Sarah said quietly. "Something that makes the dark ships look benevolent in comparison. That's why we're building this network, gathering species, combining our knowledge. We're not just hiding. We're preparing." She turned to face them fully. "The question is, are you ready to help us? Because saving civilizations was just phase 1. Phase 2 is about saving the galaxy itself, and for that, we need every species, every perspective, every bit of knowledge we can gather." Katie looked at Captain Zixval, seeing her own decision reflected in those crystalline eyes. They'd come this far. There was only one answer they could give. "When do we start?" 6 weeks later, Katie stood with Captain Zixval in humanity's Central Command, a massive facility hidden within Earth's phase-shifted dimension. The holographic display before them showed the final evacuation of hegemony space in real time. "Last colony ship entering quantum corridor," reported Commander Tom Mitchell, Earth Defense Force. "Operation Exodus complete. The hegemony has officially disappeared." Just in time. Through specialized sensors, they watched as the dark ships arrived at the now empty hegemony worlds. The massive vessels hung in space like geometric wounds in reality, their surfaces still hurting Katie's eyes even after months of study. "They're scanning," Sarah Chen noted, her fingers dancing across the control panel, "looking for any trace of where 50 billion beings vanished to." A grim smile crossed her face. "They won't find anything." The phase shift was perfect. Katie felt pride at that. Her team had implemented humanity's protocols flawlessly, breaking all previous transition records, but questions still burned in her mind. "Now that we're fully integrated," she began carefully, "can you tell us what we're really preparing for?" Commander Mitchell exchanged glances with Sarah. At a nod from someone Katie couldn't see, the chamber's main display activated, showing a view of space she'd never seen before. "This is a quantum fold image of the space between galaxies," Mitchell explained, "taken by our deep-range observers last month. Watch." The image zoomed out, and out, and out, until their entire galaxy was just a bright spiral in the void. Then Katie saw it. Movement in the darkness. Not ships, but something far worse. "The universe is conscious," Sarah said quietly, "but not in the way we imagined. What you're seeing is the equivalent of antibodies in the cosmic immune system. The dark ships. They're just the advanced scouts, cataloging and collecting species before that arrives," Katie whispered, watching the vast shapes move between galaxies. "How long?" 2 centuries, give or take," Mitchell replied. "The dark ships are part of some vast preservation project, collecting species they deem worthy before the cleansing begins. Those who go willingly are preserved in some form we don't understand. Those who resist." "But you found another way," Captain Zixval observed. "The phase shift technology, existing in the spaces between moments." "More than that," Sarah smiled. "We found each other. Every species that joins us brings new perspectives, new technologies, new ways of thinking. The hegemony's quantum mathematics. They're already revolutionizing our phase shift capabilities. The Centaurians' bioengineering, combined with Proximan energy manipulation. We're discovering things none of us could have achieved alone." Commander Mitchell stepped forward. "We're not just hiding, Captain. We're building, learning, growing. When that thing reaches our galaxy, it won't find scattered civilizations to harvest or destroy. It'll find something unprecedented. Dozens of species working as one, with technology it can't detect and capabilities it can't imagine. And you think we can fight it? Katie asked. Sarah's expression turned fierce. We think we can win. But we needed to be sure any species joining us could handle the truth, could work together despite differences, could face existence-level threats with courage and innovation. The tests, HFY realized. Earth wasn't just a warning system. Every step, finding the beacons, solving Morrison's puzzles, implementing the evacuation, they were evaluating our potential. Which you exceeded, Mitchell confirmed. Your species' adaptation rate was remarkable, almost as fast as humanity's original transition. A new alert flashed. More dark ships entering the galaxy's outer rim. Their increasing collection efforts, Sarah noted grimly. They sense something's changing. We'll need to accelerate our plans. She turned to Katie and HFY, ready to help us save some more civilizations. Katie looked at her captain, seeing the same determination she felt reflected in those alien eyes. They'd already moved their entire civilization into humanity's hidden realm. What was a little more impossible? Where do we start? Behind them, Earth spun serenely in its quantum bubble, preserved not as a monument to what was lost, but as a beacon for what could be saved. Above, through the phase-shifted sensors, Katie could see the vast network of hidden worlds and stations, 48 civilizations working as one to prepare for a battle beyond imagination. The dark ships thought they were preserving life. Instead, they'd driven it to evolve into something far more remarkable. Humanity had chosen to disappear, but only so they could help others rise.